Hey YouTube, we're here. I'm going to get the new wing and then show you the difference here. This is what it comes like with these things. Are just pressure fit in here. They don't tell you this in the manual, but the short ones are for the flaps. You can see how it kind of got resistance there. This has a little resistance, but watch this. This has no resistance. It goes all the way down. And what's happening is these flaps have a spot where it's not quite right. The other thing is you'll notice that I've centered these servos to get them in position. By the way, these are slowed down flap servos, which is pretty cool, but at the same time it's not a huge issue. I was a little annoyed that they cut the control horns down, but I don't know, I can always potentially increase the throw. The other thing is you'll notice these things are popped up. Get a shot over this one too. This one's popped up too. But you kind of have to yank it out just to get the connections for these made neatly and then pull them back through to the SC. But I wanted to show you the colors, the colors, the colors, the colors. These things are all going to get touched up. And then they never actually go over the linkages, and clearly it's a long linkage for the inside flap, which is going to go here. Whoops, it's going to go here. And then there's a short one for both this one and the aileron. So those are ready to go when I'm done. And then real quick update on this wing before we get too far. Just to kind of give you the different views. Did have to paint this one. I ended up using a 5-minute epoxy because there was no glue included with this kit. Probably not a bad thing. Epoxy's generally the best option anyway. And reactivity to foam is just minimal. So I tried one other product and it didn't work. Not on this, thank God. I put it on another surface and then I painted these. They come, like I said, they come white like this, and kind of ugly control horns, but whatever. They are nice and sturdy, but you can see they blend in a whole lot more. So I mean, obviously we're not after showing off the control horns. That's not part of the scale detail of the plane. It's the nature of the beast, but not a scale detail.
Is that gray you mixed, or is that
yes
gray?
I've already gone over that in a previous video, but these two colors are Model Master Enamel, Dark Ghost Gray, and this one is Flat White, 50-50 mix, makes the touch-up paint that I'm using here. And if you need to see it on the video, this is, you just have to pause it. I don't know which numbers you guys need. The front looks like it's FS36320, but there's a dab of glue that got on it. And then this one here doesn't even have the number up front. Flat white. Flat white should be pretty easy to get, but there's your number if you need to pause the video. Anyway, I've got a previous video that shows how to do the rest of that stuff so far. And then I also have a gloss, but that's just in case I need to touch up something simple. And I may actually get a min-waxed water-based clear coat and actually clear coat this whole plane when I'm done, just because it looks so good. Anyway, so getting back to what I was here for, I've got my torch set up. I was using this little pencil torch to heat up my X-Acto knife. And my goals are to make this move free. And you're thinking, well, goodness gracious, why doesn't it move free? Well, I don't know. That's a pretty minor issue in my book. So I'm going to have this on, so just be careful, be aware of it. Cut your flame back a lot. You can just leave it on. I'm just going to heat this up, and I want you to get a close shot of what I'm doing here. This is one of these things that you just kind of got to figure out how to do on your own when you first get these models. I'm going to take and trim this out. And then it's going to try to free up. It's going to try to free up for us the full throw of the flap, because I'm going to want this flap mechanism down a lot, because I'm going to do braking with it if I need to, like I did with my 320. See, I'm just taking a little bit off of the tip. And yes, that's hot, but if you work quick, you can do it without getting burned. See, we're getting a little better now. And all I'm doing is I'm just taking away a little bit of that material until I've got clearance. I need you to make your body not in the way of my elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's not cut free, but it's cut. I just need to get that out of there. Okay, so that's helped on the middle one. Now I just need to get this back one to work too. This one didn't seem to have any binding. For whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly what all alignment issues they were dealing with at the factory, but I just need to cut a little bit more off of the front face of this one. That should get me my clearances needed. And I think that's just a decorative / gluing point. Ironically enough, they built their flaps a whole lot like I built the flaps on mine. And usually you don't. I'm going to take a little bit off the other side too. Make sure you don't set your smoke detectors off when you do this, by the way, guys. Especially if your kids are in bed. It's super annoying. I've done that a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's getting better, but it's not quite there yet. Just want to be careful not to totally overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're not going to get it back. That's not to say you can't change the hinges or redo it by ordering something similar, but good luck finding this hinge. I think they had like 40 of them in China. So that means there's 3 in North America. Okay, so I'm just clearing off all this extra crap. And you can see this one's just free as can be and it'll stay put. This one here is just kind of not cooperating as good as I'd like it to. I do have a little bit better freedom, I feel like. Obviously the servo can take care of a little bit of that, but you don't want to have the servo doing the vast majority of it. By the way, guys, I've never really talked about this stuff down here, but this is like a piece of foam. It's the sticky rubbery foam, and it just stops it from sliding. That's why I do that. Also protects the finish on the backside. Heck of a lot easier to do this stuff before you put your plane all together. Usually I'm in too big of a hurry to be patient enough to do this, but I don't want to say I've learned my lesson, because I'll get a plane someday and do it again, but for the moment I'm really trying to give this plane the best shot at success, because it's a beautiful plane. It's fairly expensive. By the time you ship it from China, it adds up pretty quick. And I just want it to work really good. Okay, so I'm going to have to take a little bit more material. And when I'm done, I'm just going to kind of take this heat and just smooth over the edge. Make it smooth. Make it smooth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and touch it up with that gray paint. Being very careful not to get it in the hinge itself. And guys, by the way, anybody ever figure out why they don't make very many commercial airliners in RC? I've been wondering that question for some time now. I wish they made more. I mean, I love this. This plane is a really nice plane. It's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see it fly. I'm sure it'll fly as good as the A320, but who knows. So keep watching. Probably going to have my camera woman pause the video for now. Oh, I want to show you one other thing here. Right here, we've got an access to get to your control horn with a screwdriver. This screwdriver can now be inserted down into that hole and get this out. The reason I did that is because I noticed this control horn was loose, or not loose, but it was not as tight as it could be. And so I just took one of my pieces of metal, heated it real hot, made a pilot hole, did that 2 or 3 times until I got it to satisfactory size, and then I stuck this in there to cool it quickly, and then I touched it up with paint. Pretty simple process, but you guys can see now. Look at the hinges. I'm not going to say there's zero resistance, but it's very minimal. And part of that is because the articulation of the hinge. I had the same problem when I put them in on mine. You can't articulate this square because these things go back at an angle. If these were square with the wing, then they would create a ton of drag and they look stupid. But because they're the way they are in a real wing, the hinge wants to spin and pivot as it goes up. Well, you can't keep the pivot and the 90-degree rotation as they've installed them. These ones are nice and smooth because they stay at 90 degrees relative to the hinge point. So you're always going to have a certain amount of that. Like mine actually has a hinge in here too that actually moves. So anyway, guys, it's looking really good. Got to glue a couple of these loose things down. I'll probably just do like CA and glue those corners down. And real quick update on the yellowing. This is kind of what we're looking at for yellowing here. Is the tape that they used on this particular model, it's also yellowing pretty bad. But like I said, who cares? It's inside the airplane. I really don't care. Oh, and one other thing. There's supposed to be a plug that goes between both wing halves that goes here. And I don't know if they just didn't ship it or if it's like somewhere in the main fuselage, which is humongous. But either way, I either have to find it or I'm going to have to recreate something like that, which is a real bummer. I hate it when parts like that get left off because they're really hard to recreate and make them look really nice. So the other thing I noticed is that when they were doing these LEDs, they use this ultra small, it's actually called magnetic wire cable. And what that is basically solid core wire that's been coated. And so if you work with it, it's tricky. And I wanted to show you on the wingtip here. You see that, how it's exposed? Well, that's not exposed wire, even though you can see the copper through the coating. It's just a varnish. And I need to close up this gap, and then I also need to paint this. Why don't you take a shot of that wingtip? I've got it done on that one. And you're not looking for perfection there. You're just, I happen to take like a stick like this, and I just dipped it in the paint and just dripped it down into the hole until it was covered up decently. It's going to make it look a whole lot better, and it's also going to protect a little bit from debris getting up on the actual wires, because those things don't take much to get through the varnish. So if you have a stone or something that gets up in there, it could theoretically short out. I would probably hold your breath on it. I have some Horizon Hobby products that have the same product used to go to the LEDs, and I've never had any issues with them. They just put like a thin piece of tape to hold it in. So guys, keep watching. I got to do this to both wings, by the way. I was just going to show you that. So just these little tedious things. I mean, here it is. You could probably do this build in like, an hour if you're motivated. But like this one's got the bind. This one's got a little bit of bind. I'm motivated to have a finished product that works great. And the only thing that's not going to work great is if I lose sight of it or if I have a failure. But I want to give myself the best crack at success. And I'd rather invest a couple extra hours making this thing look nice now than have to go back out and try to touch stuff up later. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.